Hello, you are listening to the Pleasant Spirit podcast with your hosts, legally blind licensed massage therapists Kyle and Kelsey Pleasant, and I'm Grace. On this show, we talk about the messy, beautiful process of living a more intentional life. Whether you're into self-care, soul care, or just trying to stay sane in a noisy world, you're in the right place. Now take a deep breath and let's begin.
Welcome to the show. Sometimes the first sign isn't yelling, it's you becoming smaller around them.
Yeah. And that's such an important place to start because a lot of people hear the phrase toxic relationship and they picture slammed doors, screaming matches, some giant obvious movie scene. But a lot of the time, the first clue is way quieter than that. It's not a blow up, it's the loss of ease. It's realizing you don't feel natural anymore.
The loss of ease. That's the phrase. Like, you notice you're rehearsing a text before you send it, then rereading that same message 10 times, then taking out one little emoji because somehow the emoji feels dangerous. Which is a wild sentence, but people know exactly what I mean.
And not just the text, it's changing your tone in real time, making yourself sound extra cheerful so they won't think you're upset, making yourself sound smaller so they won't think you're challenging them. That kind of editing isn't normal relational effort, it's surveillance. You start monitoring yourself from the inside.
Or that moment when they're not home, or they cancel plans, and instead of feeling disappointed, you feel relief. Relief is such a revealing emotion. If someone's absence makes your nervous system unclench, that matters.
Relief is the word I wish more people paid attention to, because sometimes they'll say, "Nothing huge happened. I just feel tired after every interaction." And tired, confused, off. Those are not dramatic words, they're actually pretty precise. Your system is saying, "I am spending energy bracing."
I want to make one distinction though, because not all discomfort is bad. A healthy, hard conversation can absolutely feel vulnerable. You might feel nervous bringing something up. You might stumble. Your voice might shake. But that's different from walking on eggshells all the time.
Right. All the time is the key token there. A hard conversation in a healthy relationship usually has a purpose. You feel exposed, but you also feel like there's room for truth. Toxic discomfort is different. It's chronic self editing. It's your body preparing for backlash before you've even said anything.
Exactly. One kind of discomfort says, this is hard but honest. The other says, be careful, be careful, be careful. And if your whole personality starts getting filtered through that warning system, you start disappearing a little.
I've seen that quiet drain in people I care about. Not one big event, not one giant red flag you could circle on a calendar, just this gradual dimming. They used to talk freely, laugh easily, kind of roam around their own thoughts. Then, after enough time with that one person, every sentence sounded pre approved. They'd leave a dinner, get in the car, and just go silent. And I remember thinking, it's not the length of the visit that exhausted them, it's the amount of self protection.
Self-protection is exhausting. I've had friendships like that, and I say friendships because this is not only romantic, y'all, where I couldn't point to one terrible event, but every time my phone lit up with their name, I'd feel this little drop in my stomach. Then I'd answer, and by the end I'd be confused about what even happened. Like, why do I suddenly feel guilty, responsible, and weird? That kind of quiet drain sneaks up on you.
And because it sneaks up on you, you can talk yourself out of it. You say, "Well, maybe I'm just tired." But if it happens after 8 calls in a row, or every family dinner, or every car ride home from seeing them, 8 times is data. It's not just a mood.
8 times is data. We love a spiritual reality check with a tiny spreadsheet. But really, your body keeps receipts, even when your mind is still trying to be polite.
One of the clearest patterns in unhealthy dynamics is invalidation, and it usually comes in ordinary sounding phrases people have heard 100 times. "You're too sensitive." That never happened. "You always make a big deal out of nothing." Those sentences don't just dismiss a moment. Over time, they train you to distrust your own memory.
That never happened is the one that gets me, because that's not just disagreement. That's a direct strike against your reality. If somebody keeps saying that never happened, after you remember the exact conversation, eventually you stop asking, what are they doing? And you start asking, what is wrong with me?
Exactly. And that shift from questioning their behavior to questioning your own sanity is where the self doubt spiral really gets going. You bring up a concern, they minimize it. You try again, they tell you you're overreacting. By the 10th round, your internal question becomes, am I the problem? Even though your instincts were trying to warn you from the beginning?
And if you hear you're too sensitive enough times, sensitivity starts to sound like a character flaw instead of information. But sensitivity might just mean you're noticing the temperature in the room. It might mean your spirit is saying, hey, this hurts.
Then there's isolation, which often doesn't look like a dramatic ban on seeing other people. It can be much more practical than that. They complain every time you make plans with friends. They turn family gatherings tense. They act wounded for 3 hours after you talk to your sister. They make your support system feel like a threat they have to win against.
Win against is such a sharp way to say it. Because suddenly brunch with your friend isn't just brunch, it's now evidence that you don't care enough about them. Your mom's birthday dinner becomes, why do they always come first? Your whole community gets turned into a scoreboard.
Yes, and when that scoreboard appears, your world starts shrinking. Not because somebody always says, you can't go. Sometimes they just make going so costly, emotionally costly, that staying home feels easier. And when easier becomes your pattern, isolation has already started.
That one hurts because people often don't realize they're being isolated until they look up and notice they haven't called their best friend in 6 months. Not because they stopped loving them, because every call came with consequences.
And this is where compassion gets tangled up. People will say, but they had a rough childhood, or they're not bad all the time. And both of those can be true. Someone can have real pain, someone can have tenderness, charm, good intentions, even. That still does not make harmful behavior harmless.
Yes, compassion is not the same as permission. You can understand why somebody became the way they are without volunteering to be wounded by it. I think especially loving people, empathetic people, helper people, we can turn understanding into self-abandonment real quick.
Let me sharpen that, because rough childhood is a powerful phrase. A rough childhood may explain the origin, it does not erase the impact. If someone was neglected at 9, that deserves compassion. If at 39 they punish you for having friends, that behavior still needs to be named clearly.
At 9 and 39, that's memorable. And they're not bad all the time, can keep people stuck for years. Because, of course, most harmful people are not awful every minute. If they were awful every minute, nobody would stay. The confusion comes from the good moments being real too, but good moments do not cancel a harmful pattern.
That's right. A relationship isn't measured only by its best hour. It's measured by the pattern your nervous system has to live inside. If the pattern is invalidation, isolation, and chronic self doubt, then the occasional sweet weekend doesn't settle the question.
So let's say this plainly. You're not crazy, you're paying attention. A lot of times your body knows before your language does. Tight chest. Dread before the phone rings. That stomach drop when you see their name pop up on the screen. Your system is picking up something before your mind has written the essay about it.
Stomach drop is such a useful signal because it happens fast, faster than thought. You're not building a case in a courtroom. You're having a body level response. And while bodily cues aren't the whole story, they are evidence. They deserve curiosity, not shame.
So here are a few reality check questions people can ask themselves. Do I feel more like myself after seeing them, or less? Do I have more peace, or more explaining to do? Am I shrinking my world to keep this stable? Those are simple questions, but they are not little questions.
more peace or more explaining, hey, the one lands. Because some relationships turn you into your own publicist. You're constantly clarifying, defending, smoothing, translating. If every week feels like a press conference, something is off.
Yes. Welcome to the 24-hour Crisis Communications Department, population one exhausted person. But truly, if you spend more time explaining your intent than living your life, that's information.
I'll take the tangent here because this part feels personal to me. Intuition can be deeply inconvenient. Sometimes you want to believe the best in someone, maybe because you love them, maybe because you've invested years, maybe because leaving the story you hoped for is painful. And intuition rarely arrives as a neat announcement. It's awkward. It interrupts your fantasy. It says, I know you want this to be fine, but your body is not relaxing for a reason.
Interrupts your fantasy is exactly it. Because sometimes the truth is not glamorous. It doesn't arrive with a movie soundtrack. It arrives while you're staring at your phone thinking, why am I dreading this person I keep calling safe?
And I've ignored that kind of knowing before, not even just in relationships, in life generally. I've thought, maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe I need more proof. Maybe I'm making too much of a subtle feeling. But subtle does not mean false. Sometimes subtle is just the first honest signal.
I love that. Subtle is not false. And respecting your intuition does not mean demonizing the other person. It might simply mean telling yourself the truth. I am not okay in this dynamic. That truth can be quiet, it can be messy, it can come with compassion and grief at the same time.
Right. You don't need a courtroom level exhibit board to honor your inner alarm. Sometimes the evidence is the repeated pattern. I brace before they call. I feel smaller when they're near. I leave confused. I keep betraying myself to keep the peace. That pattern is saying something.
And maybe that's the place to leave it. What if the sign you've been calling being dramatic is actually your nervous system telling the truth?
Sit with that one. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks for listening to the Pleasant Spirit podcast. To learn more, visit pleasantspirit.com and don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to reach out, you can email us at podcast@pleasantspirit.com. If you are in the Portland, Oregon area, you can schedule a massage at pleasanttouchmassage.com. Until next time, be well.